I went to their website and I was blown away by some of the facts that I found on the website. One was Eureka. It's actually she was the first and only African American female officer in the city of Falls Church Police Department.
Wow, that's a wow. You go, girl.
I'm honored to be on your show today and to be able to share my story. I don't take it lightly at all, and I.
Okay. I'm gonna start off by putting out. I'm not good at stuff. I'm not good at talking about me. I can talk about a whole bunch of other stuff.
I know. I was about to say, let them think their phone, their screen froze.
Live. Oh my God.
Yes. We're live.
We're live, guys. We're live.
We're ready for everybody to get on. I'm gonna say it's Angie and Renee.
It's Angie and Renee, but not Renee.
It is Angie and Renee. Oh my gosh. It's Angie and Renee, but we have a special guest, LaShawna.
Hey. I'm so used to being quiet.
I know.
I was like, do I speak or do I not?
Hey Facebook. Hey Instagram. Hey Facebook.
Hey Facebook, it's Angie and Renee.
You are not Renee.
Even during this time, God, we pray for favor because we know that you are able to do it, and He was with him. He pushed him in a stroller. A stroller while he was running. He had him in a boat while he was swimming. Swimming.
Amazing. They let me feel comfortable in speaking, and I'm so grateful for this platform.
Hey Facebook.
Hey Facebook. Hey YouTube.
It's Angie
and Renee.
And we are here tonight to talk about it.
Yes, we are.
We are sorry that we were running late. Sorry.
Yes.
But we're here now. And we have a lovely guest with us tonight.
Yes, we do.
Yes. But let's see. Let's start here. So, this is March. This is Women's History Month. So what we wanted to do is each week we wanted to honor lovely women, right? Go ahead and pop this in there. Some women who are making history. So yay. So shout out to all of you wonderful women who are here making history in your own way. So tonight we wanted to honor the co-founders of Equity Now, Inc. and Legends Charter School, Miss Atasha James and Amina Johnson. They are co-founders of a charter school in Prince George's County. It is 4 co-founders. It's them 2 and then 2 their husbands. And it is amazing just to see that because they are the first Black owners, people to do something like this in Prince George's County. They are really heavily focused on equity and, equality, or making sure that our babies are learning financial education at a very early age. And they grind and work hard, have fun. And I just love the culture that they're bringing. So shout out to you too. Yeah. So, Renee, you want to move right on into our wow factor? I'm going to pull it up on the screen. So, you want to share?
Yes. So this month also is National Kidney Month as well. And we thought it would be a great idea to share information about kidneys affecting and things that are affecting the African American community. The wow factor is over 3,000 new patients are added to the kidney waiting list each month. 13 people die each day while waiting for a life-saving kidney transplant. And I want to kind of skip down to the last part where it says African Americans are almost 4 times as likely as whites to develop kidney failure. While African Americans make up 13% of the population, we account for 35% of the people with kidney failure in the United States. And I thought it would be a great segue into our guest on tonight, Ms. Sharron Rouse, who is the founder of Kindness for Kidneys, and to talk about her journey and Kindness for Kidneys, and also to kind of educate us a little more, because I feel like in our community, I don't know. It's like you hear a lot of people say, I go to the doctor when something is wrong, but a lot of things we can prevent. And her situation or testimony and the information she has for tonight it's going to be a really good show. So Sharron, talk to us and tell us who you are.
Thank you so much, Renee and Angie, for having me on tonight. I'm honored anytime I get a chance to share my story. I feel like my story is not just for me. And so that's where the honor comes in. It's not about me coming on to share, it's about the people that are listening, whose lives may be impacted by our story. And also those lives that may be changed as a result of our story. So maybe they don't have to go through some of the things that we went through. And so my journey with kidney disease began in 2006. I woke up one morning with swollen legs, went to work. I was a school counselor at the time and went to work because I felt okay. I just thought maybe I was on my feet for a long time the day before. And so I get to work. I said to my school counselor, I said, well, look at my legs. I woke up with swollen legs. What's going on? What do you think is happening? Why do you think my legs are swollen? And he said, you need to get to the emergency room right away. And of course, I'm bewildered, like the emergency room. I'm thinking, I feel okay. I was a little tired, but I had a 5-month-old at the time. I had just gone back to work, working in the school system. So I'm thinking to myself, this is the norm. Like I have a 5-month-old. This is what it should be like. I should be tired. She was pretty much sleeping through the night, but still, getting her up, getting her to my mother-in-law who was watching her. I just thought I was tired, and I thought the swelling came from me being on my feet a lot in the school and me getting back into the routine of being at work. And so I get to the emergency room. I did take his advice and I left work right away. In my mind, I'm thinking, I have all this stuff to do. I had an orientation plan for new students and just all of this stuff planned. And I was worried about that more so than I was worried about myself. And so that day, my life changed forever. And I vowed on that day that never again would I make something else a priority above me. I wasn't there to do the orientation that day because I had to go to the emergency room. And so that really spoke volumes to me about the importance of taking care of your health. I had been relatively healthy up until that point. I didn't have any, other issues that occurred. I did have a diagnosis of lupus in 2003, but I always questioned if that was the diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And so I did, the only symptoms I had was fatigue and swelling. And with lupus, it takes a whole lot to really diagnose it. And so I would always wonder, like, did I really have that? Like, I had it, I took the medicine, and then nothing else happened. But the doctor said, no, you had your ANA numbers were representative of lupus. So that's their story. But mine was, I didn't have it. And so I get to the emergency room, and that's the day that I found out that my kidneys were failing. And because I had the lupus diagnosis a couple of years before, they automatically assume, oh, this is because you just had a baby. Now your body's reacting. It's because of lupus. It's because of lupus. They were very sure of that. Well, the biopsy said differently. And the biopsy said, no, this is FSGS, kidney disease. And so FSGS is a rare kidney disease that impacts usually people that are in childbearing age, around 30 to 40s, 20s sometimes. But it impacts African Americans more so than any other race. Of course, kidney disease impacts African Americans in any other race, but this particular rare kidney disease also impacts people of color more so than they do European, those that are of European descent, excuse me. And so my world changed that day. I was like, what is FSGS? What's, what, everything that day pretty much shifted for me. So here I was, a mom getting up to go to work, a mom, a wife, going to do my job, going about my day. And the shift happened where I had to completely change the way that I was living. And so when they gave me the diagnosis, of course, I had to take a lot of medications and things like that. So being a nursing mother, I had to stop nursing that day. And so I wasn't prepared for the things that were ahead because, again, I didn't really have much of a warning other than the swollen legs. And
that's what I was going to ask you, Sharron. Because I know you said you were pregnant. When you went to the doctor, were there any signs during your pregnancy that they saw anything?
No. And that's the thing. And I was considered high risk because of the lupus diagnosis. So I went to the doctor much more than anybody would typically go because they automatically put me in the high risk category because of the lupus diagnosis several years before. So they said, no, we just want to be safe. So I would go for ultrasounds. I would go, I would especially towards the end, I'd have to go every week I don't know what they call that particular session, but you go and you sit in a chair and they monitor the baby for like an hour and a half and they watch your vitals and things like that. And they typically do that with high risk pregnancies. And so my entire pregnancy, I didn't get sick. Like I had a great pregnancy. I felt great. I mean, I had a really good pregnancy delivery. Everything was fine. And then I woke up with swollen legs, and that is normal for kidney failure. It can sneak up like that, and it really doesn't show up in your lab work until you're in the final stages. There's some things that, like the swollen legs was my sign, this is not normal. So when you start to see those things, but what's important also is if you know that you have a family history of kidney disease, if you're diabetic, if you have high blood pressure, you should always be talking to your doctor about what your kidney numbers are looking like. Because those are signs that, those are first of all, high blood pressure and diabetes is a leading cause of kidney disease. Most people that have kidney failure that are on dialysis, it's a result of high blood pressure or diabetes. Well, mine was rare, but most people that are sitting in a dialysis chair or on a waiting list right now, it's a result of high blood pressure or diabetes that went uncontrolled or, just they've had it for so long that it ended up in end-stage renal failure.
Angie?
Yeah, I was over here. I was like, wow, I've been on mute. Sorry. That is that's something, and for you to say that it doesn't, necessarily show up in your blood work until, where it's really late. Like, what are some of the other signs that we can kind of look out for?
Sure. So definitely edema. That's the swelling. If you see swelling anywhere, your legs, sometimes you can find swelling somewhere else. Like it may be in your hands or things like that, but most of the time it's in your legs. If you have foamy urine, Like if you notice that your urine is foamy, like just bubbles, that's a sign that there may be some protein spilling in your urine, which means that the kidneys aren't filtering the protein in your body the way that they're supposed to. So our kidneys are responsible. And that's another thing I learned. I didn't realize that the kidneys were responsible for so much. I mean, if it filters and it filters waste and cleans your blood. But I didn't realize that, it's responsible for maintaining the levels of fluid in your body, your hormone levels. It can impact your hormone levels.
Oh, wow.
So it creates urine. That's how it gets rid of the waste.
Right.
It also balances out your electrolytes in your body. And make sure that your minerals and things like that are stable. So if someone has kidney disease, a lot of times those areas will be out of whack. So maybe they'll have high potassium or high phosphorus, and those things lead to other things. And so I didn't realize, I'm like, something that's the size of a fist does this much for the body. I didn't know that at the time. And I've learned a lot since then, but it's responsible for a lot of things in our bodies. And that's why sometimes if you do end up on dialysis or kidney failure, you stop urinating. And so many times, I didn't stop. I've still produced urine, but most people don't urinate when you're on dialysis because your kidneys are not able to do their job to formulate the waste to release. And so I had to learn a lot. I'm like, wow, who knew, who knew all of this stuff. But I did vow after that day, like, we need to be having this conversation in our community. If we represent if we're 35% in this area and we're only 13% of the population, that's very scary.
Yeah.
And, knowing that high blood pressure and diabetes runs rampant in our community sometimes. My first thought walking into a dialysis facility was, why aren't we talking about this? Like, I was in amazement. Like, who knew why aren't we talking about what's going on in here? You walk in, it's just all these chairs sitting around and everybody's connected to a machine for 4 hours or more. And so it was a very eye-opening experience. I tell anyone that is diagnosed with something traumatic, or receives a diagnosis and experiences something traumatic like that, it emotionally it can be draining. And I feel like you go through the grieving process when your whole life is about to change as a result of a diagnosis. It could be anything, cancer or whatever. When you receive something like that, it does something to you. And I'm just grateful that I was able to come to a place of acceptance in that grief process. And I remember it in the dialysis facility, and they'd say, well, he's just not compliant and he's this and they're grieving.
Right.
And maybe they're in the denial phase. So, that's one area. Mental health is an area that we don't address enough in the kidney disease space. And so it makes sense too that if the kidneys are responsible for helping to maintain your hormone levels, that it makes sense that depression comes with that, and so it really, I think that's what really woke me up. It was an awakening for me to one, see what was going on around me, but to two, know that I'm not in this by myself. I'm sitting here looking at all of these people. And you also go through a lot of emotions because some days you come in and the chair is empty of the person that was sitting across from you because they've transitioned.
Yeah.
Even just that part of it, and you're thinking to yourself, like, is this going to be my, like, no, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to die either. And so, or the opposite, where someone's chair is empty because they've gotten a transplant. So there's a lot of emotions that come with experiencing something traumatic like that, or even just walking into a facility and sitting in a chair with a lot of other people that are going through what you're going through.
I never ever would have tied hormones with with that. That's something I did not know, but it makes sense. Then you have to actually fight even harder.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. It's only because of God's grace that I was able to sit in that chair and take myself out of the situation. And that's what it really requires of you, is dying to self. That's the only way. I'm telling you. I was like, okay, I had to take Sharron out of the equation, that, I get a chance to sit in this chair for you, to participate in your suffering. And so when we talk about because I am a believer. So when you talk about being a believer, it comes with a cost.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Sometimes that cost is not for us.
Right.
Yes, I learned from it, and yes, I grew in my faith and in my relationship with God. But we want the easy road, and sometimes the blessing is through the hard road. And I would always think about the people that I would bless as a result of me sitting in that chair. And that's what helped me come through, especially the days, because there are other symptoms that come with it. You get bad cramping and fatigue. There are just a lot of other things that are side effects of being on dialysis. And I would just push through that and think about the millions of people. Like, I would lay it on my heart, like, this is you. If you could just see on the other side of this, like, if you could just see what's on the other side of you sitting in this chair, you're sitting here for someone else, and that's what being a believer is about. It's about being able to participate in his suffering so that his glory can be revealed in us. But a lot of times we don't want, we avoid that part. We're like, God, this is too much.
Good stuff. Right. Right.
And so, but really, when you think about the price that he paid for us, he's with you. And I had to keep being reminded that God is with you. Because sitting there in that chair can be a very lonely, and just you're by yourself. You feel like, even though you're in a room full of people,
right,
it can be a very, very, very lonely experience. And so you have time to really reflect on your life and, be in your head and all of that, And so it really took me dying to me in order for me to really gain the benefits of going through that experience. And yes, it was a traumatic time. I had a young child and married, and I was still working full time. So it was traumatic.
Wow.
But by his grace, I was able to overcome. And so, it's so much. And I just feel like I need to speak to anyone that's listening to this. Like, it is so much bigger than you. And many times we get caught up in the moment of what we are experiencing. But if you could just see yourself on the other side, let me tell you, greater is coming. And so,
come on now,
I can't stress that enough. It's very difficult, especially when your body's in pain. I feel like that's a whole nother level. Not only am I experiencing it, but my body is in pain. And so, that takes you to another space, and it really can get you out of character and get you off of what God is doing in your life. And so, I just want to encourage someone that may be watching that, see yourself on the other side of it. Like, God can use your story. I never imagined I would be talking about kidney disease. Like, I was like, God, you have an interesting way of doing things. Like, to be able to represent, and I always say it's so much bigger than the kidney disease. I feel like that's what will bring people in. I can start the conversation talking about kidney disease, but it's really much bigger. It's much bigger. I can share the love of God by sharing my story, and so I feel like, Kindness for Kidneys is kind of the decoy.
Right.
But everything that we do, we're sharing Christ's love and bringing people to a different place in him. And so I always keep that at the forefront. And Renee, she's the president of Kindness for Kidneys. Yes, she is. She's the president of our board. She's the president of our board. And she can attest to anything that we do. We're praying over the meals that are going to the facilities. We're praying over the back. Whatever we do, it's bigger than just a Kindness for Kidneys. And so I always want to keep that in the forefront. This was a vision that God gave me. So I'm always like, God, I don't know what I'm doing. This is your vision, And so I always want to keep that at the forefront, that it's so much bigger than me and so much bigger than us.
And Sharron said that, and what people don't know, like, the goal for this year, to feed is a Christmas drive every year where people make donations and meals are provided during Christmas for those who are on dialysis. And the goal this year, we exceeded the goal. And, we just kept saying, by faith, like, this is the goal. No, we're going to exceed the goal. We're going to exceed the goal. And by faith, we just kept speaking it. And we was like, God is like, he's going to exceed the goal. And Sharron, what was the goal and what did we get?
Yeah, so the goal was 16,000 and we ended up with 20,000. So I can't remember the exact number.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. By the grace of God and the help of the community, we exceeded the goal.
Yeah. So just being able to feed, and that's by faith. Like, and it's like, if you have the faith, it says, if you had faith, the grain of a mustard seed. And we just kept saying every meeting, no, we're going to exceed this goal. And that's why, when God is with you, and it's just like she said, like the favor of God. It was a blessing.
Amen.
Exceedingly abundantly.
I know. It's just
that's great.
It is. So when you donate for Kindness for Kidneys, it's not that, some foundation, like, I don't know if I want to give, I don't know where the money is going. I can definitely say, like, and we were reading people was thankful for that. We also, and Angie was a part of, we partnered with Children's Hospital and provided, blankets and stuff for the children that are going through that. So it's so many things that are going on behind the scenes for Kindness for Kidneys. And when you donate, the things the people that you are helping, the lives that you're changing. So, if anybody is considering donate for Kindness for Kidneys. It's definitely going to a great cause.
And let me ask you too, like, I know you have merchandise, like you have t-shirts, cups,
hoodies. Yay! Yes.
Sweatshirts,
all of that. So with the merchandise, so with that, you're able to promote and say, because it's gonna be like, hey, what's that? And then you're like, oh yeah, my mug, and I got it from Kindness for Kidneys. So support, guys, support.
Yes,
it's a great cause, and like this is so exciting. How people will come together, because now I think that a lot of times we are living in a time where people seem to be kind of separated or focused on themselves, or with so much other turmoil going on that we're like, maybe not. But you hit the nail on the head when you said you put God at the forefront.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yes.
You got out the way. You died to self. You got out the way and you said, use me. And that's what will happen. And I'm just, wow. That's all. That should have been the wow factor.
To God be all the glory. Listen, I mean, it's just, it's amazing. But too, in the middle of that, you really learn what being a believer is all about too. And in this world, it's like, live your best life. But really, if you're a believer, you're living his life for you.
Come on now.
He's already laid out your story for you. You're living his life. And so sometimes we have to be careful about getting caught up in culture as well. I learned a lot going through this journey, but we get caught up in culture, like, I'm living my best life, and Well, in the Bible, it says to die so you can live. So sometimes we forget that as believers, like, our life is a laid down life for him. It's not our life, for one. And that's where we get it twisted. It's like, this is my life, this is what I want to do. And really, if we're saying we're a believer, if we're saying we're a child of God, it's really his story through us.
Amen.
And so that's something to really just to meditate on, that it's not about us. And when we take ourselves out of the equation, we really can experience the verse that says, take my yoke upon you, because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. it really made sense to me that, like, you hear scriptures, like I grew up in the church and stuff, you hear all of that stuff, but when you have to apply it and live it out,
come on now.
It says a whole nother, like it speaks a whole nother language to you. Like you really get it. Like I really understood what that meant. And many times we try to go at it alone, which is why we're frustrated and stressed out and all of that. But the key is learning to live within what his grace and what he's laid out for us. And many times we leave him out. And then when we get in the stressful, stressful situations, it's like, God, come here, help. Seek me first, seek me first. And then all the other stuff will be added. All this other stuff that you desire, I will add to you. Amen. Many times we do the opposite. It's like we get the stuff and then we like, hey, God,
right.
And this mortgage.
Yes, especially if it's something that's messed up. You be like, can you fix this mess?
Yes.
He knows. His grace, he will.
Yes. And we're not going to get it perfect, and he knows that. We're not going to get it right all the time, but he just wants to know that we're acknowledging him in all that we do. That he's a part, just as much of a part of it as anyone else.
That mug. Sharron, we would love for you to talk about how you received your kidney, because a lot of people, I know when we were going through the process, we found out about living donors for kidneys, and it's not something that we talk about in our community. And we all were like, oh, we'll do it. But there are certain qualifications you have to be a living donor. Mm-hmm. And we found out, I know it was my family, immediate family, all of us were disqualified because obesity, we were some overweight. I think it was a couple of other things, and we were just like, but we're healthy. And they're like, no, you can't do it. This. And we were like, oh my gosh, like we had no idea. We're all just excited, like we'll do it, but there's so many requirements for it that we didn't know. So tell us about your story and how you received your kidney.
Yes, so my sister was my donor. Shout out to Shantae Simpson. She is truly an angel walking this earth. So my sister, when I started dialysis, she said, what do I need to do? I'll go get tested. We really didn't know a lot about kidney disease or anything related to kidneys. I knew about what dialysis was, but that was the extent of it. I didn't know anything else. And so we were all learning together. And so she said, I'll go get tested. My sister, she's a rebel. Like she cares deeply, and she's just she's fearless. She's just like, I'll do it. Yeah. And so she went and got tested, and she was a match. So I'm O positive. And so someone that's O, whether it's positive or negative, we can only receive from O. So we're universal donors, but we can only receive from each other. And so that makes it a little bit more difficult if that's your blood type. They tell you automatically, oh, you're an O, so you're going to be about 5 or 7 years out at minimum on the waiting list. Wow. Because of your, which is why living donation is so much more powerful, because that you can get it much sooner. I didn't have to wait 7 years. I only had to wait almost 2 years, so that does help with your quality of life. The longer you're on dialysis, it does begin to take a toll on your body. And so my sister, and she has a powerful story as well. She had tried to commit suicide 2 years before she donated her kidney to me. And so for her to then change her life, for God to change her life around and put her in position, and she found her purpose in giving me a kidney. That was her purpose for living at the time, was now that I know I'm a match, I got to stay here, Right. And so it was a win-win for both of us. But, she said, now that I've found that this is my purpose, I really, that was her purpose. Every day she got up, she's like, I'm giving you this kidney. Well, we didn't know that we would face a lot of hurdles along the way. Like we had 5 transplant dates before we actually got on the table. Wow. And so that's one piece of advice that I would give to those that are seeking the process, like your family, Renee. I have heard of hospitals that will turn people away because of weight and things like that. But you always want to try different hospitals too. And so I do know another kidney warrior, his mom, same thing. They told her she was overweight, and she did lose some weight, but they were like, no, you need to lose 100 pounds. Now, I mean, come on. That may take a long time. Yeah. Well, she went to another hospital and they cleared her. And so that's one word of advice too.
See,
Like,
and you didn't know that. Yeah.
yes, try
They
some
don't
other
tell you that.
places. Yes.
Wow.
They're different hospitals have different protocols of things that they, limitations that they're willing to overlook or things like that. If other things are healthy, like if you have high blood pressure, they're not going to let you do it. But if it's something like weight, it really depends on the hospital as to whether or not they will allow you to do it. And so in our situation, we had our surgery date for November of 2012. I remember it because it was right after Thanksgiving. We were supposed to go in for surgery that next week. And I woke up with shingles one day that week. So they had to cancel the surgery. I don't know where the shingles came from. I said, I don't, usually that affects older people.
Older. I was going to say that's usually older. Okay.
Yeah. And so I ended up with shingles. So we had to wait. So they scheduled another surgery date. And so I think they scheduled it for January, and we get the date, we go to pre-op, did everything we did before, and they canceled it a week before our surgery. And the reason for canceling is that my sister's blood work, her hemoglobin levels were borderline. And so she said, well, my levels have always been borderline. That's just my numbers. I've always been borderline, even, before having her child. She said, they questioned it then, but she's always been borderline. So she said that I've always been borderline. So they said, well, why don't you get some iron infusions? Let's see if your numbers will come up. So she went and got iron infusions. She did that for several weeks, went back, and they were like, still borderline. So they said, okay, well, now we want you to go and see a hematologist and just get to the bottom of why, because they ended up doing an iron studies test and found that she really didn't need iron. She had more than enough iron in her blood. And so they said, well, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something else going on, with your hemoglobin or whatever. So she had to go get a bone marrow biopsy. And so bone marrow biopsies are very painful because they're digging into your body and cutting a piece of your bone. Yeah. So she went and had that done. And they said they wanted that because that was the only way that they would be able to really tell if there were underlying things going on with her blood. And they didn't want to put her on the operating table. That's one thing I will say. If you decide to be a kidney donor, they test everything. If there's anything wrong, you're going to know about it because they want to make sure you're in optimal health to be able to give a kidney away. And so that's why they were very cautious, which we appreciated. But it just, we just had to be relentless, and we're doing this. Sometimes people will stop in the middle of that process after that third no. It's like, no, we got to keep going. And I really credit her because after all this stuff, I was just like, you know what? I'm on the list. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get a kidney. Like, you don't have to do anything else. Right. This is a lot. And she's like, no, I'm giving you the kidney. And so they got the bone marrow biopsy. She had gotten it done here in the area. And so they got the bone marrow biopsy. The hematologist said, we didn't find anything. This is just her normal, And so they put another date on the calendar. Well, we get to that day, we did the pre-op, did everything again, and they decided to cancel it again. And they said, well, what if something happens in the future? We're still nervous. And it wasn't like her hemoglobin was like a 7 where it should be an 11. It was like 10.5. And so, yeah. And so they said, well, can you come up here to Hopkins and see our hematologist? We just want to be on the safe side. And so she did. She went again and got a second bone marrow biopsy. So by this point, I'm like, really, like, I don't want you to have this. She's like, no, I'm doing this. My sister was relentless. And thinking back, if that's what you feel your purpose is, you're going to do whatever you got to do. Mm-hmm. Take care of it to get the job done. And she kept saying, no, I know I'm supposed to give you a kidney. Yeah. And I started to faint at it. Like, well, this is a lot, like they said no about 4 times now. Don't worry about it. So she did it again. She went and got the bone marrow biopsy the second time, and they got the results back. Same thing. They couldn't find anything. And so long story short, on December 2nd, 2013, we made it to the operating table.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, we made it to the operating table, and we were a perfect match. And so when they look at the tissue matching, when they're matching kidneys, there's 6 antigens that they look at. And they typically, they want a few of the antigens to match up because they've already done the blood work and stuff to clear you. But they look at, okay, let's see how these tissues matched up. And there's 6 antigens that they look for. And all 6 of ours matched up. So talk about a miracle from God. A miracle from God and being a perfect match. And so that was our transplant story. And also, for those of you that are considering being organ donors, if my sister, God forbid, would ever need a kidney, she's automatically at the top of the list.
Wow.
And that's, yeah. So if you give a kidney, if you decide to be an organ donor and something happens and, way down the line and you get sick or you go on dialysis, or you're at the top of the list automatically. So your wait time is going to be a lot shorter because of the sacrifice that you made. And also when you do give your kidney, and so she has 1 kidney remaining, you can live with 1 kidney. The kidney that she has increased in size to compensate for the 2 that she had. So that's another fact. Yes, that's another fact that people don't realize, is that you're still going to be you're still going to be fine. You'll feel fine. You've gone through all of these tests to get to where you are because you're healthy enough to do this. So people don't know. They think I'm losing something. Oh my goodness! But the kidney that's left will increase in size to compensate for the 2 that you originally had.
Oh,
yes.
And see how God does.
All things well.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I never knew.
I didn't know either.
I didn't know either. So I learned it as I've been going on, and I'm a part of other organizations as an ambassador. So you learn a lot from doctors and scientists and different organizations that are in the trenches every day looking for research and innovation. So I didn't know that either. I was like, oh wow, okay. That's good to know. And it's good when we're talking to people about, potentially being an organ donor, to be able to dispel some of those myths that are out there. Exactly. I mean, there are a lot of myths out there. People think, oh, then that means they're going to take my organs and do something. It's a lot of that. A lot of those things are not true. And so, being a living donor, like there are advantages that you have as a result of it. And it is laparoscopic now. That's another thing that people don't realize. It's laparoscopic surgery. It's not, you're not getting cut open like they did years ago. Years ago, they would cut you open and take a part of your back. Your ribs. Yeah. They'd have to take a part of your ribs out. Yes. So now, with technology and all of the advances, they do 3 little slits, one to put the camera in, one to pull the kidney out, and then I forget what the other one's for, but 3 little slits. It's laparoscopic. They take your kidney out. Most people recover within 2 weeks. And so wow. Yeah, and people don't realize that. They're like, I'm not giving the kid what? What kind of recovery would I have to? And so, they don't realize that it is laparoscopic, and it is, it's not as invasive as it used to be.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
It is. I know Patrice. She said my facial expressions. My facial expressions, if you ever want to know something, just look at my face. I am the worst person to hide it, but I'm just like, I'm with Angie though. I had no idea. The information that you gave tonight, I had no idea.
I've learned a lot.
Sharron created certain food lists, like it's called Be Kind to Your Kidneys. And I would love we would love for you to go over it, because I know for me and in our community, we are quick to go to the carry out. We are quick to go to McDonald's. We're quick to go to all these places to grab food. Mm-hmm. And that's why our numbers are so high in the African-American community for certain people in certain situations. Mm-hmm. So Sharron, talk to us about this with this chart that you made.
Sure. And so as these are just some of the foods that are healthy for your kidneys. And so when you're thinking about making your meals and things like that, these are foods that and now I will preface this by saying this is for someone that's not on dialysis. So when you go on dialysis, your diet is completely different. Even some of the healthy things that you would think you could eat, when you're on dialysis, you can't have it. Like, you have to watch your fluid intake and things like that because your kidneys aren't filtering the way they need to. So this list here is for people that are not on dialysis, but you want to feed your body the best foods to make sure that your kidneys are in optimal health. And so a lot of times when we think about what we put in our bodies, when you talk about healthy eating, the first thing we think about is all the stuff we can't have. Like, dang, I can't have sugar. I can't, and so that's what makes it so hard, and that's what makes it so hard to bear. But it's not really that you can't have it. It's just practicing those things in moderation. So maybe I don't get McDonald's 3 times a week. Maybe I get it every other week. Or, maybe instead of getting a full meal, I might get a sandwich and drink some water or have, an alternative than the full large size meal with the big old drink with the sugar and all of that. Like it's just about shifting something. So these are foods that are really good for your kidneys. Of course, you have like your fatty fishes and things like that, where you get the omega-3s. Water keeps you in a constant state of flushing your kidneys. And so it's so important to drink water. And there are different theories out there about how much water you should drink, and so that's something I would definitely just talk to your nutritionist or doctor about, is how much water should I be drinking? Because there are a lot of different theories out there about drinking too much water. And then you have others that are like, no, you need to have a gallon every day. And so definitely consult your physician on that. But water helps to cleanse out. It helps to rinse things in your body. And so water across the board, whether it's kidneys or not, is good for you, period. And then these are just some other vegetables, fruit. When you think of kidney health, the berries, all of the berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, all of those things are good for your kidneys. So think berries when you think, okay, which fruits are good and help to promote kidney health. So cherries, berries, and all of that. Green leafy vegetables are very good for the kidney as well. And I would say a lot of these things on here are good for your health, period. But these are foods that really your kidneys crave and they like. Ginger is good for reducing inflammation. And so even just adding a little bit of ginger in your water or in your smoothie, that helps with reducing inflammation in your body. And so a lot of issues can be attributed to inflammation. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but they will tell you
that's true.
A lot of things, a lot of ailments and a lot of diagnosis, it starts with inflammation in your body. And when we go to, some of the fast food places, because of the sodium and things that are in the food, that's what causes high blood pressure and the diabetes and things like that, because of the amount that's in there. One thing to definitely pay attention to is your salt intake. And so that's if you're eating a lot of packaged foods, and now I will say it's a little bit better that you can get low sodium options. And some people say, well, that's so bland, it doesn't have a taste, but you can still doctor it up by putting some garlic in there, some garlic powder. There are a lot of different seasoning companies now that are coming out with no salt options. So you have your Mrs. Dashes, I think Flavor of God. It's a whole bunch of different companies now that you can get no salt seasoning. So you can still doctor it up and it tastes good without all the sodium. And so look for low sodium. If you do have to I realize people are on the go. So if you have to do things on the go and, look for lower sodium options. I mean, there's salads at a lot of these places now too. So you can go to Chick-fil-A and get your salad instead, or, switch it up sometimes. So it's not that you can't have your number one with the pickle and all of that, but you want to switch it up. You don't want to have the number one 3 times a week.
Right.
And so that's where we go wrong. We go too far. So everything in moderation. And I will say for me, like now I'm pretty much at the point where I only drink water. And that's been an acquired thing. Like it's just me practicing over and over. And so when you start practicing healthy habits, you'll find that your body comes in line with it. It's really just us getting out of our mind. Because I never thought, if you'd asked me years ago if I'd only drink water, I would have never seen that happening. But slowly over the years, that's all I crave now. And it's because I just, I've just allowed myself to go there. I tried a lot of different diets and different things, but if you just practice a few things, like make a few adjustments. So like I would say years ago, over 20 years ago, my first adjustment was no sodas. And not that I didn't have it up, but it was I just tapered it down. So if you start with something small like that, like I'm only having soda every other week. And then you taper that down. After a while, your taste buds do change. And I noticed for me, when I drink, like I can't drink soda now. It's just it's too much. It's just I can do ginger ale every now and again. And even sugary drinks, like I can get a little bit of it, but my body craves water now. And I know it's just from constantly doing it. And many times we want to jump in and change our habits right away. And sometimes it's just those little things. Like I always say, if you're drinking a lot of sodas, just cut back one. Like if you do 5 a week, try doing 4. And just taper yourself down. It's much more palatable to do something like that than just cutting them out altogether, because then your body goes out of whack. And so I would suggest, if you are trying to change your diet, start with some little things. Start with some small things that you can do. Like I'm only going to have soda once a week. And then, get into that habit. And once you get into that habit, okay, I'm going to have it every other week, and so just keep going. And once you do that, it's so true, where the mind goes, the body will follow. And so once you make up your mind that this is what I'm going to try and this is what I'm going to do, and you do it consistently, you may have some slip ups in there, and that's fine. But, your body will come along. It will come along.
All right. Well, that was some really, really good information. I love, like you said, just try, wean yourself off. So that was really good information. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's what helped me, because I had tried so many different things. And even before I started dialysis, I had tried juicing. I was like, I'm not going on dialysis. I'm going to try all this stuff.
Right.
So, but when you think about sustainability, like that wasn't sustainable. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do like a juice cleanse or things like that. But in the long term, what are you going to do to change your diet long term so that you can see a lasting impact, And so I had to kind of just start making small changes. And now, like I said, some things are an acquired taste. And I feel like that's what water has been for me. It's been an acquired taste that as I've done it over the years, now I just want it more and more. And now I'm at a place that I'm like, I don't really want juice anymore. I just want water.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Sharron, we have the website up here for anybody who wants to donate. You want to get merch. Sharron has on the sweatshirt. Angie showed the coffee mug, t-shirts. And we're definitely going to expand and get more stuff. And we're working on some things. We're going some places.
Yes,
but if you definitely want to help, push the mission forward, the website is here. You're welcome to donate. You're welcome to purchase merchandise as well. And Sharron, how can people find you?
So we're on Kindness for Kidneys on all platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Of course, our website is listed there, kindnessforkidneys.org. We're on LinkedIn. So anywhere there's social media, for the most part, you can find us there. We interact regularly. And if you need to email us, kindnessforkidneys@gmail.com.
All right.
Yay. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What?
Anything else?
I got nothing. But I'm over here. I'm just, this was absolutely great. I thank you for coming on. I thank you for just, pouring into us, the word of God. You gave us that. You opened up some eyes. Really helped us. I can say helped me to focus, to focus on the prize. And then some really great information on how to keep our kidneys healthy. It's very important, and the signs to look out for.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
The biggest thing is being proactive, and many times we wait for our bodies to fall apart before we go and get some help, and so sometimes it's just being proactive, even if it isn't anything wrong, at least going to get it checked out. And sometimes we wait too late to do that.
That's true, because we should be taking our cars to get serviced before they break down, right?
Yep,
To prevent them from breaking
that's
down.
right.
Gas in it, rotating the tires, getting oil changes.
Mm-hmm. That's
You
so
know,
true.
so we have to
That's
look
so
at it
true.
like that. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Don't wait. Please
Don't
don't.
wait.
Don't wait.
Oh
Yes.
gosh.
Renee?
We always end with the Angie moment or an inspiring moment. And my inspiring moment tonight is let your faith be greater than your fear.
Amen.
And I feel like that was really the topic for tonight, stepping out by faith and not allowing our fears to take over. And I want everybody, and been thinking about this a lot lately too. What are the things that you're not doing because you've allowed fear to cripple you? Is it your business? Is it a lifestyle change? Is it a mindset change? Look at that thing and figure, is it faith? Am I afraid to step out? Or is this fear like overruling me? The time that we're in, our faith has to be so big that fear doesn't even have a place in our eyesight. So I
Amen.
encourage anybody, whatever you're praying about, whatever it is that God has said now is the time, step out by faith. And when you step out by faith, God will definitely show you, like, I am with you, I am leading you, I am guiding you. And also, when we take steps of faith, change takes place around us, in us, and through
Amen.
us. And it doesn't always feel good. Sometimes the fear tells us if you step out by faith, people around you, they may not be there. What you have, you may lose it. But the point is, you stepped out by faith and you let your fear know my faith is greater than anything that you could try to put in my path. So my inspiring moment is tonight, let your faith be greater than your fear.
Amen. Come on, sister. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it.
Yes.
So
So
there we go.
yes, Sharron, thank you so much. Again, the website is here. Donate anything, t-shirts, coffee mugs, go donate. Support Kindness for Kidneys. Go follow on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, go follow. Yes. Oh, I
Thank you
love
all
it.
so much.
I
Thank
love
you
it.
for
Yes.
having me.
Yes. Yes. This right here is perfect as well. So thank you, Sharron. Thank you. Thank you, Patrice, Tamiko, Krista. Saw a couple of other people on here. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting tonight.
Yes,
Yes.
and also we're having a contest. So it's
Yes.
on this particular flyer, but for every time you repost or snap a picture of yourself doing something that it's healthy for your kidneys, like drinking water, or even if you're out for a walk and you take a picture of your feet, tag Kindness for Kidneys. We're putting everyone's names in a drawing, and on March 31st, we'll be drawing names. The prizes are there. They're gift cards for $100, $50, and $25. So for every post and repost, so you really don't even have to think of content. Just repost our stuff.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you don't feel like
wow.
thinking of, but you also could have your, like you had your mug, Angie, you could take a picture drinking water, or, or if you take your blood pressure, snapping that, whatever you're doing, to show kindness to your kidneys. Our theme for this month is be kind to your kidneys. And so anything that you're doing to do that, just snap it. What we want to do is raise awareness so that people know, and are mindful of how they can take care of their kidneys. And so again, we're having a drawing on March 31st. And who knows, you may be the winner of the $100 or the $50 or the $25.
All right. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Get your prize. Educate.
That's
healthy.
it.
Come
That's
healthy.
it.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna be sick of me.
Let's go.
Everything.
There you go. We're ready.
All right. Well, family, we appreciate you watching again.
Yes.
And meet us here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes.
One more time. Again, we apologize. So You all have a most wonderful night.
Yes.
It is Thankful Thursday. As they say, Friday Eve. But no, it's Thankful Thursday. So enjoy your night. Love
Bye,
you all.
everyone.
Good night.